Welcome aboard the Spirits Operator podcast. I'm your host, Psychic Medium Mary B. Join me as we navigate the ethereal currents between the mystical and the mundane. Get ready to explore the unseen forces shaping our world and discover how to harness their power for personal growth, healing, and transformation. Welcome to the Mediumship Series. I'm joined by Tashiko, a psychic medium, vibrational healer, and astral guide. Together we explore spirit communication, the afterlife, spiritual guidance, and the experiences that have shaped our path. Hello, everybody. I would like to welcome Tashiko to our show today. We've seen you before, but in a different capacity. It was during our empath series that we had. What was that, a couple years ago now? So, Wow, time flies.
It does, yeah. It's a couple of years. Yeah.
Well, let's see. So we're going to talk about mediumship today, and you are also a medium. And so I thought it would be fun if we could kind of, dig into the juicier questions and kind of compare and contrast what we connect with and how we do that for people that are unfamiliar. So what do you think?
Sounds perfect. Yeah.
Perfect.
Let's go.
All right. So one of the questions that I always get from people is, have you always had communication with spirits? And so, yeah.
I think that the easy answer to that is no. And I think that having really good boundaries around your spiritual hygiene, even before you understand what that stuff is, probably creates some boundaries there. So no, I have not been like inundated with spirits since I was knee high. As much as I would have liked to as a child, I was always fascinated, I love the ghost stories, and I love the occult films and the witchiness and the magic stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
who didn't want their Hogwarts letter, right?
That is so true.
Yeah. But no,
That's
I
funny.
didn't have them around me forever. I have definitely learned how good boundaries I actually have by having to learn how to open them more so that I can have great connection. Yeah.
Okay. So you've had the boundaries and then you request, or how do you take those boundaries down? Because that's pretty important.
Everything's intention. So it was actually John Edwards that was talking about spiritual hygiene and doffing and donning. So in the medical terms, when they put on their protective gear, gloves and whatever else, and they scrub in to get ready for doing some work, they are very intentionally setting the process of getting ready for that work. And when they are, cleaning up afterwards, they are taking all of that stuff off and then they return to their normal day. So he likened the experience of working with spirit exactly to that kind of medical framework. And I think that that's actually perfect. And I have come from a tattoo background, which is exactly the same thing. It's like you prepare, everything's clean and sterile, and you work in this field, same as you work with spirit, and then you disconnect. And I don't actually carry, people whispering in my ear all day, every day. Like I am very like, no, I'm here doing other things now. So I have a very clear understanding of like when I'm on and when I'm not. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. And I find that the questions that people ask, they're worried that their relatives are going to be harassing me if we're hanging out, or, and I remind them I've got very strict boundaries, and just like you, there is that, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here kind of a thing.
Exactly. And you'll only let them annoy you if you want to be open to letting them, or they're really persistent perhaps, but yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly
that's another
no.
story.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what led you to doing this on a professional level?
Fascination, I suppose. It's like the joy that you get when you perceive things that are beyond what you can see in your everyday life, and then you have the other person validate that information. It's just like one of the biggest gold stars you'll ever receive is like, I got that right. Like that was for real. Like that actually, like the fascination of that is just God, it's overwhelming at times that how beautiful it feels and how touching some of those moments can be. So I can't not keep following that thread in some way or
Yeah.
another, working with spirit, because it shows me such an incredible beauty for life, interconnectedness for people, stories that continue, themes across lives. It's just, yeah, there's such a beauty to watching spirit work, really. Yeah.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Oh, I love it.
I'm with you. You know, I had taken a step away from doing the work while trying to, fit into a conventional type job for a little while. And ooh, I'll tell you what, I sure missed it. And so I'm like, I'm going to make this happen again where we are now, So I'm
Yeah.
with you. It's
And
important
you
to
can
do the
ask
work.
spirit for their help too. It's just like, hey, we didn't like that 9 to 5. Let's get this party started.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the goal. We're on
Yeah.
it. It's happening. My next question for you is how mediumship kind of works for you. So, do you receive your information through more seeing, hearing, feeling? What are your senses that you are primarily using?
So what I thought was my basic trifecta was clairvoyant, clairsentient, claircognizant. Fairly much can arrive in a bubble. So I am very visual, and as I develop my skills and as I read more, and different spirits will kind of bring through different things. I do notice now that I do have a lot more clairaudience than I ever thought I did have. It's like I got to reframe that stuff, and I kind of was like, oh, I know I do have that. Oh, and shows up in all of
Mm-hmm.
these different ways. So what I thought was only these three has turned out to sort of be more like four. And then it's like, oh, now it's five. And it's like, it's starting to expand. I don't get terribly much taste, um, but I can feel things in my mouth sometimes. It's not always that I taste
Mm-hmm.
it, but feel like I'm chewing on a piece of grass, or there's other tactile senses. So yeah, it's a really interesting thing to see how not only we go through phases of the information coming in different ways, but we also, um, I think as we develop, they bring through different things because it's kind of more their flavor meeting your flavor, and we make a magical meal together.
Absolutely. I found like when I started, my knowing is really high, that just claircognizant kind of, I know. But I was very visual, so very clairvoyant as well. And I really thought I was more clairvoyant than anything. And then it turns out, no, the knowing is stronger. But I
Yeah.
desperately wanted to hear. I desperately did. And it was lots of training after asking spirit to help tune that in,
Mm-hmm.
and practices to try to increase that awareness of hearing. So for me, it was listening to maybe conversations in a public place that were further away and further away to try to increase my hearing in this setting would actually tune in on the other setting. So it's really interesting how you can make those two things connect, because you are still physically here, but you're also there.
Yeah. One of my greatest understandings for clairaudience was it's not so much the idea of me hearing it like I'm expecting it to land beside me and I hear it with my ears.
Yeah.
Because that was the feeling of like, oh, I'm supposed to hear it, right? No, it was the understanding of like how I hear that sound in my head
Yes.
is the clairaudient signal of that. I'm like, oh, keys jingling, yeah, gravel on the road, yeah, can rolls down the street, yeah. I'm like, okay, great, now I got it, because now I can feel those sounds in a different way, and I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's how it works.
Yes, absolutely. And then it's surprising that it comes in your voice a lot of the time, but then there's a little
Yeah,
twist of an accent to it.
yeah, yeah. Or
It's fun.
sometimes it's booming in your ears. That one was a little shocking when it was really, really loud. I was like, oh wow, it's like rattling around my
Tune that
head.
down.
But
Yeah, I had to ask them to slow down their conversation because they were talking so fast when they came in. I'm like, no, 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 no. We're going to have to take it down a notch and let me understand what you're saying. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's always
Yeah, I can't
interesting.
decipher for you if I can't hear you properly. Yay.
Exactly. This is one that a lot of people struggle with, especially in the beginning of their mediumship development. Um, how do you know, or how can you tell the difference between, say, your imagination and information gathered from spirit?
It's a really good question because I think we, even as experienced, we can still have moments of like, did I make that up? Like, that can't possibly be true, right? It's just a bit too off the wall, and you're like, no, that's my imagination playing tricks. But I think the best reminder is when we are relaxed in a super daydreamy type space, we're very receptive. So we are actually just open, and when things land for us, we are receiving them. Versus when we're grasping for something and we're like, oh, stressed about it, then we are likely to be creating something.
Mm-hmm.
So even though daydreams can be that we're just creating things as well, and it can be a lushy, soft experience, but there's a tendency of like our energies either moving outwards to create something, or we're actually very kicked back, relaxed, and open in this receptive way. So I think when we notice that barometer in ourselves, we can then see that the information's either coming in or going out. And then we
Mm-hmm.
actually understand that it's the same process. We're going to see in the same place. We're going to see the same types of things. It's just whether we feel we are involved in that process or we're actually just receiving it. And I found that
Mm-hmm.
that relax really reframed everything for me to go, oh, I didn't think that. It just came to me. And then I
Right.
knew that it was receptive versus creative. Yeah. How about
Oh,
you?
man. So, um, a lot of it is, for me, it's really kind of trust. I trust that I'm getting it, and stepping have the visual of actually having my ego step out of the way during a meditation has been key to allowing the trust to come through. So when I open up, of course, I do all of my chakra meditations, but during that meditation, I visualize stepping off. And as soon as I step off, then it feels different. And so when the information comes in, and it's hard to explain to people, and that's why I'm glad you were able to explain a little better. When I step out of myself, I can be a clearer channel for the information to come through. And then I just give what I get in a loving manner and try to interpret it the best way I can for people with all of the symbols and everything that we have in our brains.
Mm-hmm.
I don't experience a lot of imagination, but I do find trends, and that's when I start questioning. I'm like, well, I just had somebody that had a very similar thing, and that's when I go, did I make that up? No, I didn't. You didn't make that up. You're going to say what you see. And then it turns out, I just have a very spirit-led day with the same kind of thing, so it's really
Yeah.
interesting how that can work.
But it's weird, isn't it? Because you're like, hang on a minute. No, I can't be telling the same message again to a different person now. Like, that doesn't, like, how does this work?
Yep.
But no, it's true. It's like we absolutely get on themes, and you'll have back to back readings that are exactly the same theme coming through. And you're like, okay, I got it the first time.
Right. And I oftentimes when that happens, I tend to think that there must be a lesson for me as well. Because if
Yeah.
I'm getting it on repeat, that also means there's something that I need to pick up to hold on to. It may be something later, but it's definitely a little bit of a lesson as well. So,
Yeah, definitely. They're very clever that way, aren't they? Just like to
oh
slide
yeah,
in lessons in there. Yeah.
sneaky. Oh gosh. Now you mentioned this a minute ago, but I want to ask you: do you see and hear spirits everywhere you go? How do you handle that?
Um, Usually pretty good, like not open for business right now, come back later. If it's really insistent, spirit, if they are high vibrational, if they are super loving, they only want the best for you. They don't actually want to hassle you. There should be no urgency. Getting your attention should be like, absolutely, I'll come back later. That's very respectful. If they're like beating down your door because there's some kind of emergency going on, that really feels kind of a little bit lower vibrational. Like, who's rattling my blinds? There's a feeling of like there's an unnecessary amount of anxiety or something attached to that. So it's like,
Sure.
no, you can definitely come back later because I'm not buying what you're selling right now. But I'll take the lovely grandma who wants to just tuck you into bed at night. That's nice. Oh, nice to see you, you know?
Yes, yes. It's so funny. There's, with mediums, you know, we have different spectrums of our frequencies that we connect with and things like that. And I guess I've always been one to kind of walk the line of the in-between. And that would be those that are like the grandma, very love and light and very energetically pulled into that, and beings that go beyond that. And then I have a very deep connection with like earthbound spirits and things like that. So that was actually one of my agreements with spirit when I agreed to do the work was I was able to communicate with the earthbound spirits. But I said, well, I will do that only if I can also do the communication with the others, because I would like to do both. Boundaries are
and you want
important
to
in
have
all
both
ways.
for sure.
Yeah. There's a time for it all. But just like with you, I wouldn't want them harassing me at any point. So that drives you nuts.
No harass. No, thank you.
There have been times, you know, in my life where I wake up and there was someone, you know, standing over the bed or in the space. And so I had to really learn how to put those boundaries up properly. So unlike you had them already up, you know, and I was just like, hey, you know, open for business, I guess. But learning how to.
But if you don't know what business is, you're not quite sure what you're doing with this information, or whether you're making it up, or if you're going crazy. And it's like there's so much overlay of how crazy you might be if you don't know what to do with it. So I'm kind of glad that mine didn't open up in a you know, a traumatic way, because like there's children that have had really traumatic experiences, and probably really beautiful ones too, like, you know, lots of imaginary friends, or lots of invisible folks that we're sharing with them in their youth. But yeah, it's such a different thing when we learn how to control it in a different way so that we can be of great service to them, because otherwise we just get muddled with so much information, and we don't know where to put it.
Exactly. No, I was one of those kids that had the beautiful and the not so beautiful. So I think it's important to know all the ends of it, but really that you have your own power. You know, you're in charge. And if any of you out there are experiencing any of that, or if you have kids that are, you know, remind them of their power. That's super important.
Absolutely.
People are all different, right? So why is it easier to understand some spirits more than it is to connect with others?
I think that there's a couple of factors in there. Like, some of it is energetic resonance. Just the same way that we like some people in life and we don't like other people for whatever reason, you know. There's people that we just gel with instantly and we have a lot to say and the conversation's easy. And there's other people that are just a little bit more standoffish or shy or whatever else, and we find that communication a bit more difficult. So with spirit, I find that they are a lot like that. Our reference library of life experience makes for a really valuable kind of, you know, pool in which they can communicate with us with. So, for example, if you're speaking to a doctor in spirit and he has this vast medical knowledge, but you have no vast medical knowledge to meet his intelligence, well, he has a sort of lesser bandwidth of his intelligence he can share with you, because there's just a lot that you can't understand or translate. Or so if I had a vast medical knowledge and I communicate with him, we could be bouncing for ages with a whole lot of information and a whole lot of references. So ultimately, the greatest piece of that is it gives you more of a permission slip in life to actually go and experience more things so that you can communicate with spirits more easily, because
Yes.
the greater your reference pile, the greater the communication. But it kind of comes down to really probably energy on the day. It's like how loving, open, and willing and a great communicator they were, and how much they are similar to you in lots of ways of, like, if they're creative or visual or colorful, then they're going to be like, oh, we like this girl because she's all of those things. So I
Right.
kind of feel it's a bit like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. And sometimes it takes them a little bit to warm up, and if they were shy in person, or they'll tend to kind of be that same personality, and I'll feel into that too and go, oh, okay, this is you. So this makes sense why you're reenacting how you acted before.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can't change shy. They're not instantly not shy once they cross over, because they want to show you who they were. Otherwise you'd be like, I don't recognize you. What do you
Yep,
mean she's flamboyant?
exactly.
No, 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 that's not her. She was shy. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I had a very interesting reading where the person's father on the other side was heavily into astrology. And I am not. I know about it. I know enough to kind of barely get by on it. And all of the information that was coming through, I was piecing it together like a little kid, trying to spell it out for her. But she knew exactly what I was talking about. I was like, okay, well, as long as you know.
Yeah.
But it does pay to have a very strong reference book of learning, because then you can pull it from so many places, like you said. So
Mm.
always learning,
But
always a steward.
fortunately, with claircognizance, which is a strong one for you, you will just know that piece of information. So it's almost like it's kind of the cheat sheet to the reference library, isn't it? It's just like, oh, I just know. They're just telling me and I just know. So it's a
That
lovely way
is
of working
true.
around it.
That is true. I didn't have to see it. I didn't have to explain what I was seeing. It was just like, so there's this house and there's, all this information coming through. It's very interesting. What misconceptions do you think that the living have about the spirit world?
I think that we forget that, there's that beautiful saying that we are spirits or souls having a human experience. We
Mm-hmm.
forget that we are spirit, we are souls. And because we're so, mesmerized by the illusion of this 3D experience, and we forget about everything else. And so we are automatically connected, whether
Mm-hmm.
we understand that connection or not, or whether we foster that connection or not. But that really, we are always connected to spirit. And it's only that really most people are either interested in fostering more of that connection, so they want to, like, find out how it works or test theories or, like, have more experiences there, or they're not interested, and that's okay, because they're very firmly in their 3D life and they are loving that, and that's absolutely fabulous. Like, but I find that, yeah, most people probably don't remember how much they're connected to spirit, and so
Mm-hmm.
they just forget that piece of information a lot of the time. And then they think that they need to go to somebody else to have connection. It's like, no,
Yes.
you just need to remember how to have connection for yourself. We just have
Yes.
remembered and have worked on that.
I think that's where people are continually seeking some sort of purpose, something, and it calls to them because they've never left it. But you know, some it calls to
Exactly.
louder, and some a little more quiet. But
Yeah.
embrace the
And
journey, right?
we're so vast in our spiritual connections and our capacities. Like, some people are super visual, whereas other people are super auditory. Like, for some people, their whole connection to spirit might be writing a symphony. Well, it's like well beyond my scope of what
Yeah.
my connection to spirit would be. But like, it comes in so many flavors. So no one's connection to spirit is more or less or whatever than the next person's. They're all just really different flavors.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it, for sure.
Hmm.
I get this question a lot too. So, what what do you believe happens immediately after death?
Wow.
That's a doozy, isn't it?
I think we have theories, and then we are also educated by near-death experience things. If that's a fascination for you, then you've probably watched things and listened to things and collated that information. And I think that there's a running theme of like the tunnel and the white light, and you go to da 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 da, and and then what? It's like, okay, well, you get to the light. Is that the crossing over? Is that the final step? Have you met the final boss of the video game? Like, what? Or there's other like theologies and things that talk about, going to healing rooms to process things, and a life review, and that you're going to go and witness your entire life kind of projected in front of you, so that you can understand every nuance of every relationship, of every conversation you ever had. And and it's fascinating to think that we feel that this life is so rich of so many conversations, so many significant moments. Surely it must take years and years and years to process that, and it will be like the blink of an eye for a spirit review before you move on to the next thing. So I I can't say for sure, but I know what feels really resonant for me, and that is, yes, that you're met with your loved ones when you get to the other side, and some of those loved ones may not have been incarnate in this lifetime frame of ours. Like, we might meet people that we haven't met in this life. We might meet our guides. We will meet pets. Like, there's going to be an influx of beings that come to us. But the one thing that I'm blessed to have been able to witness is watching this incredibly beautiful luminosity rise out of the body and move towards more light, more love, and a sound that can't even be heard. It's such a magnificent trumpet of angels. That has been my experience of watching people show me their transitions, and I have had the pleasure of a few spirits showing me their transition home, and I'm like, hey,
That
every
gives me
spirit can
chills.
show me. Yeah, every spirit, show me your transition home. I want to see it. It looks amazing. So, and some of them are
Yes.
really different colors, and some of them have really different feelings, and some of them are obviously, moments that are tragic deaths that happen quite quickly, and they're unaware, or they're surprised by the experience. And others are really beautiful, soft, slow, very, very peaceful transitions. And yeah, but they are all, wow, so expansive, so met with love. It's like we finally shrug off the shackles of the physical form and return just to pure light. And it's a it's a funny thing to say that I can't wait, but I kind of can't wait, because I'm like, I just want to be a glowing orb ball again.
You still have work to do.
Ah, damn it.
The work never ends. But at least you are connected while you're here, because I think that's one of the gifts that we have, that we are so very fortunate to embrace the connection to the other side. So when I say, I know that when I pass, this is going to happen, I'm going to go back to spirit, I know that in my heart of hearts. And I can't say I have always known that. Earlier in my life, I would say I didn't. I was kind of wondering what was happening after that, but now I can say yes. And I think that that is a huge gift, and to reassure other people with that information and through that process. And I like how you talk about the different versions of how people, transition and move forward. And there's been things where I've, seen accidents on the side of the road, and then I see their spirit kind of lingering, and then I see an angel come in, and talking to them and helping them understand, and then they're gone. There's so many different things that happen. I think we're all very different, so all of our passings are going to be different. And while I know that there's going to be reviews and things like that. I have spoken to people who actually go to like a waiting space, a holding space, where they rest, where their spirit rests through traumas and things like that. And in fact, even get like spirit counseling on the other side, which I was like, what? I had no idea. So
The learning
so
never ends, right?
Right, exactly. The learning never ends, for sure. Do spirits continue learning? Have you run into spirits that are working spirits?
I think there's definitely spirits who are they're like wearing their training wheels or something like that. Like they're like, I'm a spirit guide in training. Like there's sort of that enthusiasm to some of them.
Yes.
And there's definitely some, much older, wiser, I've been here a long time kinds of spirits.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely feel that there's like a whole bandwidth of enthusiasm from one thing to the next thing, from one learning path, and maybe whole factions. I get the sense that there is absolutely whole systems, like whole cities almost, of different roles of different types of things that different spirits work with. And some of that relates to probably human life, and we get a glimpse of that stuff, and there's probably stuff that we're like, oh, you can't see behind the curtain until
Yep.
you get up there. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been told that before. Nope, you have to go now. Like, wait a minute. I want to see what's in that room. No, you don't. Go on out of here.
That's Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, and you're not allowed in.
Right. Well, this leads to a question that I have for you, and just kind of thinking about the different roles. I assume you've accessed the Akashic Records space. Do you meet with someone? Because I always end up meeting with someone specifically that's there, and like a records keeper, but it's always the same person. Do you have any experience with that?
I have had different guides come through. But I do understand that most people generally will have their one Akashic guide that's like, I'm your librarian. I'm going to be the one that finds the books and the
Yes.
records and things for you. And so sometimes I think I perceive them as a human form to have a conversation with, and other times I'm just led. Might just be light or
Sure.
luminance in something, and I'm aware that they're there, but they might not present themselves as a human form to speak
Mm-hmm.
with. But yeah, but I have had different guides come through, perhaps for different records, like different versions of records. It's like, oh, I'm the keeper of these particular records, so you have to speak to me for those
Ah,
ones. So I'm like, oh, that's
I'm
interesting.
gonna have to
So
ask around when I'm there.
yeah, yeah. Ask some more questions. But no, I think it's pretty normal that you'll have much the same guide consistently. Yeah.
Mm,
And unless they tag team out at another later point in your life or something, but I don't think so. I think you're likely to have the
yeah,
same
I
one.
think I'm pretty spot on with my person, probably.
Yeah.
But I will be asking more questions about these extra special spaces.
Yes, yes. Can I go to the special room now? Yeah.
Yeah, now that we've been here a while, can we do that now? I am so curious. That is what really keeps us going too, right? As mediums, is our curiosities, our our desire to get to the next thing, to get to the next thing within that, bubble of spirituality and connection. Don't you think?
Yeah. I think there's just so much more to learn always. And it's like our development. Like you think that you've got this good, and then you're hit with another level of it, or another awareness of it, or you have another great conversation that just sparks off something else, and you're like, "Oh wow, I didn't even think of looking at it that way." So I think we have so many perceptions and perspectives of the way that we can come to the work, and everybody's flavor is a little bit different, so we learn off each other here as we're exploring it all, and then we learn from our guides, that we have different guides that step in at different times. I feel like we're seeing like one, I'll speak in
Fraction.
inches, 1 inch for the Americans, 1 inch of space of like what we know, and then there's just like this bandwidth of stuff that we only get a glimpse at. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
lots more to learn.
and do you think that is because we may not be able to handle all that information at once. Is that what your thoughts are?
I think that we are inside the simulation of Earth. So we have to work with past, present, future, time constraint, and we might get a little too crazy if we're overlaid with some ideas that are a little bit too higher dimension, because it just doesn't fit this reality. Like we can't, and then it would be
Right.
like, okay, that dissonance might just make for a really chaotic life, because you're like, how can I
Yes.
hold this wisdom and amazingness and not know how it fits into my daily reality? So I think that we are probably protected a fraction because they don't want to blow our minds too much. Yeah.
Right. Bombard you. And I do think there are people that are more connected to the multiple layers that does give them this sense of overwhelm. And I think that there's a level to that, that there's too much information coming in. Um,
Yeah, I think when you're in like-minded company and you have a really broad bandwidth of spiritual understanding and you can talk all of these different layers and understandings, that's great. But then you put that in front of somebody who doesn't quite have the same bandwidth for understanding, and it's
mhm.
labeled very quickly as a negative, and like, well, they're
Yes.
crazy and they're like, they're spinning out, and they're not in reality. And it's like, well, in a great sense they sort of aren't, no, because they're perceiving so much more of what's going on, and this is just
Yes.
the cardboard cutout reality that we're standing in. We're aware that there's so much going on behind the scenes. But
Hmm.
if that really impinges on your life, well, you're here to have a 3D experience.
Yes.
We're here for the human for now, and yeah.
We're here for the chocolate. That's what we're
Yeah.
here for. Come on now. Get down to the real core here. We're down for the chocolate.
Why was I not born in the Amazon? Yeah.
True, true. Oh my goodness. So, do you have a take on ghost versus spirits?
Hmm. I used to probably think that they were the same thing.
Hmm.
And I think that there is definitely some layers of consciousness to this understanding as well.
Hmm.
But my understanding now is that ghosts are sort of like a residual energy signature that's left in a space that can kind of loop. So even though it can appear like it's interacting with the space, it's likely to just be, the woman passes by the window type of thing. And that's just something that she would have done in life a lot of times and whatever else. And she's held there because of a traumatic or large energy signature for some description.
Hmm.
Then spirit levels are different levels as well. So like you were saying before about the earthbound spirits, well, they might be a bit lower density and a bit more trickster and a little bit more kind of play havoc with things. Still, they seem to have a bit more intelligence or consciousness and ability to interact with humans or interact with everything more than the ghost kind of illusion that seems to pass
Sure.
by. So it's kind of like that separation is one, and then you've got from spirit, you've got all manner of levels of consciousness to the angelic forms that come in is still a spirit, but it's much higher vibration. So
Hmm.
they're bringing so much more wisdom, such inspiration. Like it's a much different experience to meet one of them versus one of the trickster low end spirits or a ghost that is
Hmm.
like really just like washing, hanging on the line, moving around.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen those where they're just on repeat, but then there's the ones that communicate. I try to figure out where the extraterrestrials kind of come into this as well, because they also communicate telepathically. And do you feel that you can tell the difference between when let's say, a spirit being more spirit related versus a like an ET comes in, or do you feel like they're the same kind of vibes?
I feel that it's almost like as we have consciousness around the perceptions of different sort of lines of consciousness or levels of spirit, you can perceive things that are like fey or earthly types of creatures, but they're still high vibrational. And then you can have, ascended masters, which were human, very human-esque beings. And then you have angelics and galactics and stuff, which is other races of beings. So I've met lots of different varieties of galactics in my time, and different communications happen for different ones. Some are more prone to want to communicate with us, and others are just passing by, like they're not really interested in humans. And so they all feel very high intellect though, so high vibration, a lot of wisdom. And generally, if they're coming to communicate with us, they're wanting to share that wisdom. So they do appear really differently to me to more of our humanoid types of experiences. And then there's beings that just don't have any form at all. They're just really mostly just pure light. So they don't really tend to present as a form. Yeah, so many different varieties.
It's interesting to kind of tap into those things, and getting into the vibration to reach that level. It takes work and practice and consistency. So I think for me, I know a lot of meditation was something that I needed to continue to do to keep that level up so that I could communicate properly. Do you find that that's the key to your connection as well?
Yeah, it can be. I think I'm fairly blessed with a fairly high frequency understanding. I don't know why, but I tend to just have them pop in. Like, I would dare say that they pop in more as an overlay to my consciousness than spirits do. Like, if I'm connecting to your grandmother, I have to go searching for her, whereas galactics can come in way more easily for me than me finding your loved one. But I find it's a bit like changing radio stations. So there is definitely an awareness of shifting consciousness through different layers to receive different information. But no, they're fascinating. There's definitely the more experience you have with them and the higher vibration you hold for longer periods of time, which I guess is meditation essentially, and being in a high frequency environment. So like whatever you can do that puts you into that particular frequency, that communication stream, that definitely, makes the biggest difference than just, I'm going to meditate on the leaves blowing in the wind. That's great, but it's still very earth consciousness.
Sure.
You actually have to have meditation that's high consciousness to be activating up there.
So start here and keep working your way.
Yeah, keep climbing.
Keep climbing the ladder. You got this.
Yeah. And it's almost like there's no ladder either. It's a weird thing, isn't it? That it's multi-dimensional on all planes. It's not just
you just set your intention and you can get there. Where you're going, you're already there, and just got to step into that and say, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the more that you become familiar with any frequency, like it's like having a favorite color. You'll start seeing that favorite color everywhere. Like the more that you work with that, the more it shows itself to you. Yeah.
Oh, yes. That's that law of attraction thing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
A little bit. Yeah. So if spirit could clear up one myth about mediumship, what would it be, do you think?
That you need to go to somebody else to receive your own messages. That's a fallacy, because we all have spirit. We are all spirit, and then we're spirits wearing the coats of our bodies. And so we automatically have connection. It's just that we 99.9% of the time doubt the information that we're receiving.
Yes.
And so when we're first learning this stuff, and like our earlier question about, imagination versus receptivity of that, and especially for clairvoyance, I think it's like, we daydream these things. We think that we just daydreamed it ourselves, whereas when we're receiving it, we now can perceive that we're receiving it from spirit, and how clever they are in that. So they are constantly trying to give us direction, give us messages, give us signs, line up
Mm-hmm.
that, that alignment for you to see that they're with you, they're holding space for you. If we were to clear the one thing, it's just knowing that you have that in you always. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
matter of learning how to tune it for yourself, because everybody's just a slight bit different on the way that they receive their information and who they're communicating with, because some are
Yeah.
stronger than others, as we said before.
Well, I love that you said that, because I think one of the things that shocked me the most when I first started really diving into mediumship as a learning about it from other people and other places was that, oh, mediums are not taught, they're born, and that they are the only ones that communicate, and it was like, wait a minute, that does not resonate at all with me. Like, and that's one of those things where you're like, take what you like and leave the rest. There may be teachings that are involved in it and getting there, and you may be able to pick things from certain people or things like that that help you along your path, but uh, you're absolutely on point. We're not disconnected. We're just tuned in a little bit finer, to clear out the noise, right? So that you can hear better
Mm.
or connect
And
better.
because you're interested, you want to go, oh, I want to do more of this work. So, how can I
Mm-hmm.
make myself clearer? Versus people who don't care so much. If you don't care about it,
Yeah.
you're not going to be interested to follow that thread. But those of us that are fascinated, you can't keep us away. So,
That is true. Eat, sleep, dream it, right?
yeah.
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 So, after all your experiences working with spirit, what is the one thing you wish everyone understood about their connection to the spirit world?
That where energy flows, intention goes where energy flows. Same. It's like we just spoke about dialing into the bandwidth of galactic frequency, or dialing into the bandwidth of your grandmother, or it's all that we are setting that intention with spirit as we go into the experience. And so as we're learning anything, we can be setting the intention that this is going to be in service to spirit, in increasing my skill, in honing and refining my clairs, in whatever we're working with, whatever book we're reading, even just to sit in one meditation, one sitting in the power, whatever it is. You can set that intention that this is going to activate whatever your intention is, one set thing. So we can literally laser beam pinpoint the things that we want to work on, because our intention is actually that capable and that strong. And
Mm-hmm.
we tend not to, because we're like distracted by life. So we forget
Everything's
that we can
exciting,
actually
right?
narrow. Yeah. Yeah. So we we just need to kind of remember that focus often. And when we do focus ourselves, well, kind of everything runs a bit smoother actually, and we're able to connect with the higher frequency realms, and we're able to be really inspired and loved and effervescent with life, because that's our intention, to connect with that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I love your energy and I love what you bring to this space. So thank you so much for being here today, Tashiko. I
Ah,
yeah.
pleasure.
Super
Mm.
grateful. Thank you.
And to you, thank you so much for having me.